LP. I'd like to bring the two gentlemen together, especially Dr. Ting, Paul, because you look after food security. I understand that Singapore is a very small country, and we need to develop our ecosystem in an economic, sustainable way. And I think that if we want to go forward to propose sustainable farming, whether it is agri or aqua, we need to have a model whereby it has be able to build a financial model so that it justifies the alternative use of land. I think if we want to talk to the government to say, can we have 1,000 hectares of land, we need to basically create an economic model. And the only way I can see that if we cannot get the dollar to fit into it, we will need to bring in the food security angle, whereby we need to have some sustainable food in Singapore where we produce, if at all we cannot get import food. So maybe the two gentlemen can share whether how can we build this ecosystem in an economically sustainable way.
Actually, just now I did mention that we should have a farmers' cooperative, right? And using the cooperative mechanisms, we probably could have a business plan to justify buying the land from the government at market rates, right? And leasing it out to the farmers for various activities. That can be looked at, actually. Yeah? But I agree with you. In the past, we've always been asking the government for land because we wanted food security and so on, which is something quite amorphous, right? In the end, actually, it's the business. It's the farming business. Can the farm operate and be economically viable, right? I agree with you that we should look into that aspect.
I'll give an academic view. Okay. There's always the big picture view, societal good, food security, and so on, you know. Then there's also the individual business case, basically. I think at the macro level, there are other benefits to maintaining a farming sector, which, you know, the resource economists will tell you the externalities. You can't actually quantify those. Okay, having green space, you know. And in resource economics, one of the most difficult things to quantify is ecological services. Greening, for example, better air, you know, aesthetics, ethics, even learning values for our children. I think having a farming sector does all that. At the micro level, at the farm level, is the business case. You know, you have to have a strong business case. And that's where you could have enablers provided by the government. I think some of the stuff that Dr. Ngiam talked about, you know. For those who have survived farming in Singapore, there are some success enablers that they've been able to tap into. The question is how much you want to push the frontier. And how much is the government willing to also push the frontiers to maintain that. I mean, I research food security, and Singapore will never be 100% food secure. I mean, we all accept that. Which is why I think AVA's, you know, kind of policies and so on, you know, the 10% import, you know, sorry, 10% of the food here that's grown locally, focusing on the few products. I think that's the right way to go. Yeah, and today, if you talk to food economists, they will tell you it doesn't make sense to be 100% sufficient at all. It doesn't make economic sense. Yeah? And I always tell this story. I was in Korea about 2 months, no, this was 16 months ago, talking about their parliamentary committees, because they were having to make the same decisions. How much rice should we grow? Okay, given that 18% of the rice is used to feed animals. We'll say, why opportunity cost? Water, labor, and so on, you know, to grow that rice doesn't make sense. Let's go and buy the rice from Vietnam to feed animals instead, and use that land and money to invest in other things. Yeah? So economic sense, very different altogether. So that's my kind of academic answer to your question.